Okay, so here we are. Basics part 2 of what a system is for coaches, consultants, and practitioners. So let's jump right into the workflow. So if you caught part 1, if you didn't, check out my channel. There'll be a link below this too to go check out part 1. We discussed the 5 stages that you move a client through from discovery to retaining that client. Just a really high level kind of overview of what that looks like. Today, I'm going to go a bit deeper into those 5 stages and explain a bit more about each one of them, the steps necessary to accomplish each one to get a client to sign up with you, then also what actions they have to take and what actions you are probably already taking or you should be taking to move them along the client journey, and then how that becomes a system. So you can see my screen here. We're going to start with discover. And this is how a client or a potential client finds you via whatever means they find you, right? So we're going to start right here. Discovery means, they come across your content somewhere, right? So whether it's social media, let's call it your website, also known as, like a Google search or something. So they're searching for something you offer and they land on your website because of SEO or, you rank in a search engine result. So if you're running pay-per-click ads on any channel, Google, Instagram, Facebook, etc., social media paid ads, word of mouth, traditional. So let's say you're doing, print advertising or something, right? So in that discovery phase, you have created content where you've posted it on social media, on your website, you've created content for paid ads, YouTube, etc. You've worked with other clients before and you got a referral via word of mouth, or you've done traditional advertising, meaning you've created content for print advertising, radio advertising, television advertising, that type of stuff. Not as common, but some people still do that. That is the discovery phase. That's how people find you. Now, once they come across your content, how easy is it for them to move to the next stage, which is the connect stage? So if we take a look at this from this perspective of connection, how many ways can they connect with you? Well, if you go down the list and the discovery one, which is social media, they can DM you, they can leave a comment on the content itself. If they come across your website in a web search, they could probably fill out a form, or they can call you via phone. And then word of mouth is probably going to end up being the same thing. So another phone call or form fill, you get a referral, word of mouth, they go to your website, they fill out the form, or they call you. And in traditional print advertising, television, radio, same thing. You're probably leaving some sort of a URL in those ads where they go to your website and fill out a form or call you, right? If you think about this, in the discovery phase to the connect phase, there's 2 sets of actions, and that is the action that the potential client takes by discovering you and then getting to the connection point. And then there's the action that you take once they actually connect with you. So if someone leaves you a DM on Instagram, for instance, or a comment on your post or something, it is then up to you to respond. And so there's your first manual action that becomes part of your system. Manual action meaning in the client interaction. You've already taken action by posting your content. However, now you're waiting on the results of that content to bring you leads. So in this second part, in the connection phase, how easy is it for them to connect with you? And how easy is it for you to respond? Because then once you have responded, maybe you start a conversation, you book a call, etc. That's the conversion phase. So we're going to do the same thing here in the conversion phase. Book a call. That's if you want to schedule a call, if they don't just call you on the phone first and you speak directly to them. If they DM you, leave a comment, your plan of action most likely is to get them on a call if you're selling services, right? If you're selling a digital product, that's a little different. You're probably sending them a link and letting them self-select by watching like a VSL, your video sales letter, on a landing page if you have all of that stuff set up. But in the conversion phase, if you are selling them coaching, you are likely doing a call with them before they close on the deal and say, yes, I would like to hire you. Booking a call, which requires manual action via email, DMs, and probably some back and forth about scheduling, calendar hookup. So in that phase, in the calendar hookup, there's a lot of manual action that goes just from the connection phase to the conversion phase. This is where you really start to see your manual action take place. So once you get them into the conversion phase, you show them your offer, whatever that is, whether it's one-on-one group coaching, like a 3-month program inside of a larger community. Maybe you put them onto a course or something like that. In your system, in your chronological order of events that you move someone through these 5 phases, discover, connect, convert, the first 3, if you think about all of the manual action that you need to take to get them just to the conversion phase, even if they don't convert, those are the beginning steps of your system. So let me step back and clarify. Systems and automation are 2 two separate things. Your system exists no matter what, whether it's automated, it's fully manual, it's partially automated. You can build a system, do it manually, and it's still a system. Or you can build a system and add an automation layer on top of your system so that things happen for you automatically. In this scenario, we're talking about manual action only. So next, after the conversion phase, you go to the deliver phase. So let's say you land them as a client, you get them through the conversion process, you take their payments, you send them a contract, they sign it, all of the things that happen in the conversion phase to get to the delivery phase, which is, how do you deliver? You're doing one-on-one coaching, most likely, and the delivery of that work itself requires all manual action, whether it's setting up the appointments and booking it, sending them the materials for, let's say you put them in a 3-month program and you talk to them once a week for 12 weeks. If you do that and you have materials that go along with each phase of that, are you manually sending those materials every single time? So every action that it takes to deliver the client experience, once you have converted them into a client, how many manual actions are involved in that? And how much time does it take you to get to this delivery phase, but then also deliver? A system can't replace your delivery necessarily if it's one-on-one work, but it can support you. Once you have delivered your coaching, say you do a 3-month program with someone, 12 weeks later, they're done. How do you retain that client? What actions do you take to really retain the client in a way that is, they continue to be your client? Maybe they're not a coaching client anymore. Maybe you move more into like a mentor role with them where it's performance oriented. You're speaking to them once a month instead of once a week or once every other month or something like that. And you keep them on some sort of a retainer and you bring them into the next level. Or let's say you got them into your basic coaching course and you have a new tier, a higher tier, and you want to get them into that. Well, how do you do that? Retaining a client is all about communicating with them and continually flowing information to them, new ideas, new content, really, whether that's via email, weekly or monthly calls with groups and stuff. How do you retain clients who have gone through part of your delivery process and you would like them to stay with you and continue to evolve with you and you evolve with them? So in that retainment process, you basically have content creation to keep them engaged, involved, and then, you're rolling out new products to them. And you're probably, asking for reviews and referrals where you're taking manual action to do this. So if you look at this, and this is a very high level look, I know I said more than I typed, but think about it. In each stage beyond discover, because you're creating content no matter what, to get your clients to come to you. Once they connect with you, I want you to write down, you can use this as a map, this discover, connect, convert, deliver, retain. Write down your own roadmap of every step that you take to make this happen. Once you can put that down on pen and paper, and do it with pen and paper or pencil and paper, it's easier that way because you can kind of think through things more quickly and, draw and scribble and all of the things you need to do as you take a look at this and really shine a light on each individual piece of it. And then once you figure out, okay, well, what are my actions in the connect phase? What are my actions in the convert phase? What are my actions in delivery, et cetera, retain? How much of this requires a manual action from you? Every step. Write down literally every step from discover to retain. And that is your system. That's your current system anyway. So if you haven't thought about what it takes to take someone from discovery to retaining them after they become a client, do so. Write it all down. Write down every single step along the way, and that is your existing system. Whether you've thought about it this way or not, whether you've planned possibly some of it, and then there's those small details that pop up in between. We're like, oh yeah, I forgot I need to do X between the conversion and delivery phase. I've converted them. Oh, now I've got to manually send them an invoice. I have to manually send them a contract. Once they send it back to me, I have to sign it, scan it, put it back in, send it to them. Right? Once you get into that piece of it and you really drill down into that detail, you can really see how much time you actually spend per client acquisition, right? And you can look at your client acquisition cost by easily just saying, okay, my hourly rate is X. If it's 50 an hour, 100 an hour, it doesn't matter. Write it down and see how much time it takes you to convert someone into a client and then retain them, apply a dollar value to that, and that's your customer acquisition cost. If you can take a look at all of those pieces, you end up with, a really in-depth view of what it is that you can replace with automation and software. And automation really is just replacing manual action with software that does stuff for you automatically. Now, whether it's a whole bunch of SaaS software, which SaaS is just software as a service, anything that you pay a monthly subscription for is SaaS. So whether it's Google Workspace or Zapier or ManyChat or anything else you use. Those are SaaS programs that are meant to automate things for you. So if you start looking at your workflow and from that perspective, you can actually say, okay, this piece of it I could automate. In the conversion phase, to send someone a contract, they sign it and send it back to you. You could use something like DocuSign, right? And automate that part of it. So you have to think about every step along the way, how can you replace something and automate it? That's part 2 of the basics of a system and automating that. I hope you've learned something. If you did, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. If you have questions pertaining to any of this, please leave a comment below. I will answer. And then look for part 3 coming up soon, where I dive deeper into this same framework here and talk about SaaS itself and how to really get into that piece of it. Create something for yourself that makes your life easier. You spend less time doing it and you make more money. Great. Hope you have a great day.